decided we are going to be stitching out bag tags today. So I will put in the bottom of this for those watching this on replay where I got these bag tags from. Bag tags can be used for so many different reasons, for so many different projects, for so many different things that you have. What I look forward to doing it, and the reason why this is part of our back to school stitch out box, is because it is something that a lot of people are doing now. Instead of putting a monogram on a bag, a book bag, or a lunchbox, we'll actually attach a bag tag to it. And that gives the, the life of that item, you can use it longer because you can take that bag tag off and put it on, for another child. So also like the bog bags, those are like all the craze bog bags, those plasticky whole bags that are just kind of funny to me, but very popular. Bag tags are great for those. Sports bags, those are perfect. Family pool bags, beach bags, that looks funny either way. So join along. I'm super excited about doing these. What's fun about these is you use such a small amount of fabric. You can literally do these with scraps that you have left over, and they just make a fun little gift. You could do it for gift tags, for items. That is super cute too. You can do it for a stroller tag. There's so many uses for these. So the one I have is from Applique and Embroidery Originals, and I love it because it gave 4 options, and I love all 4 of them. So we're going to stitch them out. Let's do this. Okay, so the items that you're going to want to get, again, just kind of some random fabric, whatever you think will be great. I went ahead and did mine on Embrilliance, and I'm actually going to do 3 or 4 of them, actually maybe all of them today. But I love this one, the Scallops. Isn't that so cute? So I made it in Embrilliance, and of course I always do that so I can have my grid and make sure it's perfectly centered when I put it on the machine. This one I love. I'm actually going to make this for myself for our pool bag. My pool bag is not a material that I really want to embroider on, so I thought it'd be really cute just to have a bag tag on there. This is another one. I love the double scallop, so that's another option, and you could use 2 different fabrics for that, so you could really have pops of color on it. And then I just love this simplistic one for boys. I mean, you could use these. No, they're a little scallopy, but this is a really cute one for boys. So you can be really creative with the fabrics and the colors that you choose to do. So these I'm definitely going to be using tearaway. So in your stitch out box that you received, you should have some tearaway that came. And I have some pre-cut sheets that I'm going to be using, so that's what you'll see me doing. And then I recommend the Puffy Foam. So the Puffy Foam is a great option to give a little bit more stability to your bag tags. You don't have to use it. There's lots of different things that you could use, but I'm going to use this as my bottom layer. So it's just going to be laying right there on top when I'm ready to make this. Okay, options, Puffy Foam, white. I can buy this in bulk, or you can buy all the different colors under the sun. So possibly for this red one, I might use the red foam so it doesn't really show through as much. There is a pink one that I could use for this one, and then the gray, there's actually a piece of beige type gray. So using color Puffy Foam is a great option. I don't really have my camera. Y'all are seeing all my hot mess today. Look at that over there. Let's turn you a little bit this way. I mean, I don't care if you see my mess. It's my real life mess, but anyway, it might just be really kind of distracting, isn't it? So I'm going to have my machine running here, and then I might put one back there as well. So it's going to get loud in here, y'all. But let's do it. So simple, but what a great thing to have, especially for back to school. And you guys know I use Heat and Bond Light on everything. I think I'm going to skip it on this one. I think I am. So the first one I'm going to do is the Scallop. So adorable. It might be too big for, it's pretty close. That's a little too big for my smaller Mighty Hoop. This is the 5.5. So I'm going to actually use one size up. And all I'm going to do for this is hoop you can just use your regular hoops too, so I might use that as well for one of them. But all we're going to do is put our tearaway stabilizer. So if you have one that you need to cut, then just cut it to the size of your hoop. Hello. Can't do it. Y'all, I used to lick my fingers when I would separate paper, and then, I became a nurse and was like, you can't really do that. And then COVID was like, you really can't do that. So now Still struggle. Okay, so, oh, it hit that, so it didn't get it good. But that's okay, we can do it again. When that happens, I like to flip it over so I can give it a chance to grab more. And sometimes if I just go a little slower, yeah, boom, that's perfect. So I don't really have to center this because it will be centered on its own. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on my machine. Bum, ba, da, bum, 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 bum. And I'm going to pull it up. I already have it on my USB here. So again, I did this in Embrilliance. And the first one I'm going to do is this cutesy scalloped one. So this is going to be for my niece, making her a little bag tag. So I'm going to use this cute little gingham fabric here. I'm just going to do a little press. It's really not necessary, but just so it looks pretty. And I'm just going to cut out a little piece. And again, I could literally be going over to my scraps right now and finding something that would work just perfectly. Because you just need a small amount. I chose, there's even one smaller than that. So you might look at that and be like, that's really big for a bag. There is one size smaller. There's actually a couple of sizes that come with each design. So that's pretty fun. All right, so let's pull up. We've got bag tag 1. And I am just going to go ahead and set this. It's already centered on its own, so I don't really have to worry about that. And we're just going to tell it the colors. So let me think about this for one hot second. I am doing pink. Oh, so 2. Let's see how this does. 2. And then 2. And then 2. So I'm going to use 2 contrasting colors on it, and I'm going to pull this up real quick just to make sure that, let's see, what I did not do, which I meant to have this handy for us. So give me 2 seconds to print out the bag tag instructions to make sure. I always like to follow those, so it's going to print out real quick. But so this is the fabric I'm going to use, and I think what I will do, I think I'm going to go for my colored ones, because you guys, I've had this colored foam for quite some time. It's not necessary, but I don't know, it just seems cute and fun because it just matches so well. Okay, so we've got 4 pages of instructions, but I just want to make sure that we do follow it the way that it was designed and digitized. I always think that's so important to, really do, it's digitized certain ways. So to try to follow along with what they have, the way they digitized it is fun. Hopefully I don't get these stuck in the machine. Okay, so bum ba da bum. I'm just making sure, like I said, that we have, what's great is it does give the finished sizes. So, there's the 4x4, the 5x7, the 6x10, and the 7x11. And so that's awesome that it kind of tells you what the finished size will be. So step 1, you're going to hoop your stabilizer. You can use tearaway, wet and gone, or a very heavyweight water-soluble stabilizer. So that's absolutely an option. That way, when you pull it off, it just tears off. If you're going to do something like that, you would want to use the, not just your regular Solvay. You're going to want to use like the Solvay Plus if you're using the Sulky brand. But I'm just going to use tearaway, and we're going to just see how it goes. Okay. We're missing, oh, you know what? Here's why I'm missing it. It wanted me to flip it. I thought that was weird. It had like page 2 and then page 4. I was doing some things earlier where I was printing on the back side, so that's what it's doing. It has to wait for permission for me to flip it over. Ha. Okay, so we've got our hoop stabilizer. That was definitely the first thing that we needed to do. All right, all right. Come on. Okay. So then the next thing we need to do, I think that's just, yeah, that's just the cover page. And it just has Applique Embroidery original information in there. It does give a Facebook group for that particular designer, so that's awesome. So we're going to allow the placement stitch to run on our stabilizer. Then we're going to cover our placement stitch with our fabric. She does say that she uses heat and bond light on the fabric. I think it makes the fabric easier to cut, and then when you iron it, it will fuse to your batting, felt, or other material. Oh, maybe I should. My iron's already on. Add your monogrammer name at the next step. It's important to do that here so you don't see it on the back. And then on the back of the hoop, place your fabric or fabric plus. You can use felt, batting, craft foam, or nothing. My favorite is craft foam. It gives your tag weight and firmness. And then you can use tape to secure it, or you can literally just slip it below. Then we're going to trim the fabric around the outside edge of the patch as close as possible without cutting through the tack down stitch. And then trim the fabric on the back of your hoop as well. Allow the satin stitch and triple bean stitch to run. Then we're going to remove it from the hoop and we'll trim as close to the satin edge as possible. The stabilizer will have a little bit of fuzzies along the edge. You can actually use a lighter, to gently burn the fuzz off the edges. And then our tag is complete. So, all right, she did recommend using heat and bond light. I didn't think that would be recommended on these. So I'm a firm believer of heat and bond light. So I've got it right here and my iron's already hot. So let's actually do that, you guys. Up to you on how you do it. I generally do overuse this, so I don't know why I was thinking I was going to bypass that this time. It's just not like me. All right, so all right, done deal. Okay, so we're going to do Maddie's first, and I picked the colors that I think will do best with this one. And we're just going to go step by step. Let's do this. So we're going to allow the placement stitch to run. Where'd you go? So these are, satin stitched around the end. So the last step will be the longest, doing that satin stitch. So that's where most of your time in these designs will go. I'm actually going to go ahead and just hoop my next piece for my other machine so that two of them can just be going. And you could, ow, I didn't tell it to stop. Stop it. Stop, stop, stop. I forgot to do my reserve stop on there. When I start talking, that thing just goes to town, I tell you. Okay, so I was just going to get the next one ready, but maybe I should focus on one at a time. Okay, so we allow the placement stitch to run. Now we're going to cover the placement stitch with our fabric. So don't forget to take off your heat and bond light paper. I did back it up so it would get the beginning of that stitch. So let's just make sure. All right, go for it. Oh, sorry. Okay, lock, start, and then stop it. All right, and like I said, I'm going to get this one started back here. Well, aren't y'all seeing real life? Oh, wow, y'all. I must have bumped it when I went. I did. So when I went by here, I must have bumped it because it bumped it on the machine. Did y'all hear that awful noise? I can't believe it must have just gotten the edge. Yeah. The needle didn't actually hit this. The needle, not the needle, but the actual, oh, wow, you guys. Don't you love doing things live? Woohoo! check that out. So again, the needle didn't actually hit the frame, but the side of the needle plate looks like that's what that noise was, because there's no needle markings, and actually it stitched it all right there. Holy manoli, you guys. So, good thing it's just a little piece of fabric and it's not someone's clothes. Lord. Well, honestly, I don't mind when things like that happen on a live, because you guys, isn't that real world? You know that stuff happens to you, but I feel like it keeps happening for all my lives. What's going on, Callie, here? All right. Ugh. Well, and also, when I'm not paying attention like that, that's another proof in the pudding right there. I said that before on a live, and then people were like, I don't think that's how you use that saying. So yeah, obviously I don't normally have my embroidery machine sticking out in the middle of my room. It's probably, well, I know it's not good. I just have it there so that we can see it while we're doing our projects. So, again, I'm so glad that it didn't hit the frame itself, and I'm really glad that that was not a clothing item, and that I can very easily just grab another piece of fabric, right? Like, oh my gosh, if that had been an item that I needed to stitch for somebody, that would have been a hot mess. So, I'm sorry, sweet girl. You're so good to me, and there I go, and I'm not paying attention. And there I did that same thing again. When it's just a stabilizer, we definitely want to make sure it's super tight. Okay, so now I've made this mat. And so what I'm actually going to do, just because it had been bumped, I am actually going to, so that's a lesson in its own. This is an aftermarket. Is that the right term? This obviously doesn't come with this machine, right? So the sizing of the way it's spaced out is recognizing this as a 5x7 that goes this direction. Even though it does fit in there, you have to be careful. The ones that actually come with your machine are the ones that it reads, you know, perfectly. Like it knows to a T, you know, how they fit. So I'm actually going to swap it up since we hadn't gotten any further, just to make sure all is well. We're going to go back to the very beginning, so I can just hit, you know, zero it out back to the beginning. And, you know, if you need to, you can return and you can actually do the tracing. So we're going to just make sure we're going to trace around, you know, the whole thing. I actually just like to go up. We're good there. Side, side, and then down. All those are perfect. So I'm just going to use this hoop for this next little bit, just so we can get our party started. So I do need to go in and just make sure I put the colors back in. Oh, actually what I was going to do is, sorry, because I bumped it, sometimes, I'm actually turning my machine off. I'm going to let it sit for a second. Because I bumped it, you sometimes want to reset your machine because the calibration can be off. Then your, you know, next few projects, you're like, why is this not, you know, where it's supposed to be? So, you know, I kind of turn it off, count the 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I turn it back on, and then it will calibrate itself. I'm not sure if it's off, but because I bumped it and because it had an error, it's just better safe than sorry to go ahead and recalibrate it. Because if your machine is like mine, when you first turn it on, all three of my machines are the same in that regards. Right here, what it just did there, that was recalibrating. So I think that's really good to do whenever you have an error like that. Maybe you don't have errors like that. Maybe it's just my world that I live in. But I think recalibrating is important. Okay, that always makes my heart jump when I hear the machine make a weird noise too. Like, ah! Okay, so I am going to make sure again though. Good, we are perfectly centered there. So I feel good about getting this started. And I'm just resetting my colors here. And have fun with the colors, whatever you think. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to the colors. So I'm going to do that outside stitch. Pitter patter, pitter patter. All right, so put my heat and bond fabric over that, and this time we're not hitting anything. Holy Hannah! Pitter patter, that's my heart still beating fast. Okay, so it's a really good thing that we did print out our instructions, because the way that I put this design in Embrilliance is not the way we're supposed to stitch it out. So you can actually change this in Embrilliance. I don't know if you've ever gone in and moved around the order sequence of how things are going to stitch out. That's definitely a video I need to show, because I know that's questions sometimes people have. I'll try to do that. Maybe I can use this project to do that with. But if you haven't done that, if you just, like me, popped it on there and then threw a monogram on it, that monogram is going to be the very last thing that stitches out. But that's not the order that they have, requested that we do it in, for reasons that we won't see those, the monogram on the back side. We don't want to see it, on the reverse side. It's nice that we can kind of hide those stitches. So what I can do in that regard is literally just come down and pick the monogram and just go ahead and stitch that. And then I will backtrack and do the rest of the steps. So we're doing step 3. Step 4 is add your monogram or name in this step, so you don't see the back. So I'm going to let that run, and I'm actually going to get the next one started on the back. I'm going to do, this one I think is fun. It's long, it's like a long turn, oval. So it's really good for last names or first names, depending on who you're making it for. And I'll go ahead and do my heat and bond light on this. Yeah, it's not good to have your embroidery machine in the middle of the room. I just bumped it again, so please, 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 sir, please don't mess up now. guys have any questions. I know most everyone will be watching this on replay. So please put your questions below. I will put, for those watching it way later after our live stitch out, I will put the list of materials that we use down in the comments. If you have any questions about any of those, then just let me know. Yeah, I think this one's super cute. Like, this would be a good one for stroller tags. I mean, there's just so many things you really could do with this. I'm thinking you could do it where you actually put some ribbon below it, and you can make a like a hair bow holder or something. Lots of options and lots of different sizes. This is the second size. There's one smaller and two bigger, so some of those can get big. Using the Curls monogram from Embroidery. It's so sweet. I love it. And for the other one I'm using, this is, I call it a daisy font. I probably need to figure out, I think it's Oopsie Daisy. I'll put it below. What I love about this font is the letters are all the same size. So no matter if it's a Y or, you know, a B, you know how those can have the different tails on them that either come up higher or lower. I love this font because it's always uniform in size. So when you're needing to put it, like some of those split designs where the name is in the middle of like an apple or a pencil or something like that, this is always my go-to for that reason. And it just is really pretty, so I'll put that in the comments. And then I'm going to do one more. My nephew will certainly want one. I thought this anchor fabric was so cute. So I'm going to do that square one for him. And I love for boys to either use the circle monogram or the stacked monogram. I like that one as well. Okay, so we've got the next step ready. The monogram has already stitched out and it is beautiful. We'll have that one ready when it's time. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is on the back of the hoop, place your fabric or your fabric plus other material of your choice. So, I didn't really think about that when I was doing it, that I should have two pieces of fabric. So let me get that one ready. Because we're going to do the craft foam now and the back piece of fabric. It doesn't, you know what? Let's do a little, let's do a little different color. Let's see. Because I did the monogram in purple, think it would be fun to do purple on the back. Sometimes I forget to be creative, you know, like forget to think outside of the box. Like, it doesn't have to be the exact same color that's on the front. If I see like a picture of something, I sometimes lose my creativity. Like all my mind can think about is, you know, doing it exactly the way that one was. That's why I would much rather read a book versus watch a movie. Because when I read a book, I get to create my characters. I get to create everything in my mind. And a movie just takes that away from you because it's already done. Don't be bumping. Don't be bumping. Okay, so what we're going to do is on the back of the hoop, we're going to be putting these two things on there. I've got the Hot Pocket song in my head because my boys had those for lunch. Hot Pocket. That's a really good song to have stuck in your head. I'm just going to get the piece ready for the one back there while that sets up a little bit. Now you guys are going to have the Hot Pocket song in your head, aren't you? Sorry. I had a lot of fabric that was pre-cut for mask making that I still have, so I try to get creative and finding reasons to use that. Okay, so take my heat and bond light off, and we're turning it over, right? We're going to put the foam for the middle part. So I'm going to take a little bit of spray adhesive. You can take some tape, maybe a lot of spray adhesive. Tape, maybe a lot of spray adhesive. Put that on the back. And then put that on top of it. Okay, that should be good. I can feel both edges to know that it's going on both sides. Well, this should be fun. That's thick. Okay, so remember I had gone to the end of my embroidery sequence, so now I need to backtrack. The good thing is it's perfectly centered because we didn't have to adjust it in the beginning. So let's go back to where we were. Trying to decide if I want purple around the edges. I think I'll stick with the pink. What do y'all think? I think I'm going to go with purple around the edge. No, I'm not. Ha! I get to decide, right? We're going to do pink. We'll do a little piece of purple on there. Okay, so what this is going to do next, we're on the back of the hoop, we place our fabric and our other material, which is our craft foam. And then we run it one more time. Next, we're going to trim the fabric around the outside edge of the tack as close as possible without cutting through the tack down. So we actually have to do that on the front and the back. So just like when you're doing applique work, tell me scallops aren't annoying. A little scallop here. It's so much easier when it's like a straight line because then you can just kind of slide your scissors through it. When you got little scallops, you got to go around every little half circle here. But aren't scallops cute? I mean, I just love them. Now the square bag tag that I'm gonna make, that will be a lot easier once you get to this part, because literally you just have to zip through 4 sides. This isn't too bad though. Projects like this are great. You know, put in your shop, put it on your Facebook group, especially because, you know, you can, with your customer design colors, show them, you know, different fabric options. But what's great about it is you don't really have to invest anything for these other than just, I mean, using a lot of scrap fabrics or just corners of some fabrics that you have on hand. You do need, you know, if you want the weight of it like this, you know, the craft foam. But again, it's not a huge expense, right? You're not having to get a blank. And you saw I messed up on the first one, and it's like, no big deal. It's just literally a piece of fabric. So I cut it really good on the front, and now I've got to come on the back, and I've got to cut this craft foam. But it cuts really good. The only annoying part is the scallops. It's kind of annoying, isn't it? So I'm using my little fist scars, and I'm just trying to stay in there real tight. Well, this is going to take a hot minute. Too bad I can't speed it up on a live. But if you're doing it with me, then you're doing this too. Yeah, that's a little harder to get through with the foam. I'll be doing this for a month, forever. We're a fourth of the way done. Scallops, y'all. They look cute in the end, right? They will. So you want to be very careful that you don't cut your stabilizer during this, especially when we're doing this annoying craft foam here. I just don't want it to show, so, you know, better to take extra time now than to finish and be like, wait. Cut off some excess there, so I'm not pulling so much of it with it. Oh, what is my... All right, we're over halfway. We're getting there. I hope you guys have enjoyed these back to school things. Literally every order, well, yesterday, 3 out of the 4 orders that I received on Etsy were back to school. Like, it just baffles me because I just don't think that far out. Like, I still feel like summer just started with my boys. I'm not even thinking about back to school. So it amazes me, you know, how early, you know, people start getting things. So it really does pay. And that's why we were doing this, you know, earlier. It just pays to have these things in your shop long before you think they might need to be. And, you know, I've told the story a million times, but that is where I truly struggled in the beginning of my embroidery. Was I did not launch things or put them on my site in time for the holidays. For any of them, any occasion. I was still doing samples for people in my group so that I could get good pictures for Etsy. And by the time I did all that, it was honestly too late. You know, like, you can't buy something for an event a week before. Like, me putting things up a week before was no good for anybody. Like you're not going to get any sales because you have to factor in your processing time, shipping time, and people just like to have things earlier. And with the way 2020 panned out with shipping, and it still hasn't fully recovered for sure, people are you know, have learned over this past year that they've got to get things earlier than we used to, just because shipping still seems to be a beast. Okay, I hope I did this close enough. I'm gonna go back around here and trim up some of these edges. At least the foam is super easy to cut, and I'm hoping this allows for a pretty thick satin stitch, but we'll see, you guys. We'll see together, won't we? Okay, so we're gonna let it rip. Let's see. I feel like oh, I was probably supposed to do that one. I didn't give it room to do that little circle. So at the top of our little bag tag. I'm letting it do the little circle that will be that will take out for the ribbon. And I kind of feel like I should be cutting that out. Did they go ahead and cut it out? They did. All right, so that right there is going to be a little tricky, but I mean, I guess we can poke all the way through at this point. Just, yeah. Actually, that's pretty easy because you can poke all the way through. You know, if it was a clothing item and you were needing to get a hole out, you obviously couldn't go all the way through. There we go. My other machine, sounds like it finished putting the name on that bag tag. All right. I'm gonna come through on this side too. So this is cutting, you know, 2 pieces of fabric, the stabilizer and the foam. Just want to make sure we get it all out so that it is a prettier hole once the satin stitch is done. There we go. I think that's almost all of it, but I want it to be pretty. There we go. All right. Just don't want any little stragglers of that foam. All right. So now we're going to do the satin stitch, and we're going to see that hopefully we have cut this close enough. Good luck. I love the colors of this. Super cute. I'm going to use white on this one, I believe. Only because I'm using an alternating contrasting color. The red wouldn't really do it justice. That's how I turn my machine. Turn my iron back on. So it does look like it's a really thick satin stitch, so that's what we want. More scallops. Like I said, the one I'm going to do for my nephew should be a lot easier since it's just 4 sides to it. Y'all put in the comments any questions that you might have. I would love to answer anything. It could be completely random. Doesn't even have to be about these projects. It could be anything that we've done in our Stitchout Supply Box. I am so glad you guys did this with me. Next week starts Christmas in July. I can't wait. It's fun to have the mindset of Christmas in July already. Like, what? So I hope some of you are joining me for that. These scallops are a lot bigger than the first one, so. Like this would be cute, like on your Yeti cooler that you definitely don't want to monogram. Or I still think, like, you see those really cute stroller tags when people are going to Disney. This would be perfect for that. Honestly, you could use this on your luggage. That would be cute. So many different uses for this. And there's sometimes just bags that people bring to me that, you know, I will, you know, tell them I'll look at it. I'll see if I'm able to do it, because they might say, well, it's kind of funny. I'm not sure, you know, if you can monogram it or not. And I will give my, you know, best college try to, you know, find a way to monogram something for somebody. But there's sometimes where it isn't the right thing for that item. So having this as an option, like, hey, you know, I looked at the bag and I, you know, attempted to try to figure out a way to put a monogram on it, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to be feasible for this. But I have these really cute bag tags that I can make that you can personalize so that you can have your monogram on your bag. It's just a good option when you're not quite able to, you know, get your embroidery machine on certain items. Sometimes I had to be creative with that. I had someone bring me this bag, and it was just so structured, I could not, even on a multi-needle machine, maneuver it in a way to get it to monogram. And so we came up with the idea of, let's just, you know, put a name on the strap. So we did that, and that turned out cute. So don't forget to share your designs after you complete them. I want to see all the cool things that you were able to make and the creativity you were able to give it with, you know, different fonts and different fabrics. And show me what you're going to put them on. I love, love, love to see that. So put it in our Facebook group. So I'm just cutting away on this one. I've just got 3 more scallops to go. I don't want to rush it though. I don't want to tear the stabilizer. 2 more scallops to go, and then we'll see. We'll get this first one off the machine. Is it done? Let me remember. Does it have one more stitch to do? There is a decorative stitch. So let it do that, and then it really will be done by the time I'm done. You don't have to do the decorative stitch. Oh, I'm concentrating, aren't I? I'm just trying to get this, that little hole at the top cut out now. You guys, oh my goodness. See what happens when I start concentrating? I really just ruined that bag tag. Ugh. I didn't press reserve stop, so it kept going with the next color. Lord Kelly Kane. Try to fix it by going back over it. Lordy have mercy, you guys. If there's anything that I can do wrong tonight, you're seeing it here. This is what happens when we don't edit. I'm having to get creative to fix this and not consider it a bust. Since I had a random color stitch out on top of the very first letter, I'm going to do that random color on the third letter as well so that we can try to salvage it. That's creative! Okay, we're going to see if I salvage this, you guys. Lordy. I knew it was kind of at risk for breaking because we're literally stitching over the same area 3 times. That just gets a little dense. Some real life embroidery today. Luckily, the mistake color that it did was a complementary color to this. So honestly, it looks sweet. It almost looks like it was intentional. Let me show you what I did and what I'm talking about. And now they're both done, so that's cool. So while I was stitching and I wasn't paying attention, I forgot to press stop, and it put in this lime green. Can you see it if I do it real close? There's a lime green. And so then what I did, I was like, well, let's make this one equal. And I made that lime green, and then I went back over it with the purple. So sometimes you just got to play around and, like, you know, do what you got to do. Only problem is you can see those 2 letters on the back. But this craft foam, this is awesome, you guys. I mean, except for my little mistakes. It's a really thick satin stitch, so that's really helpful. I mean, this thing is perfect, and it is super sweet. I love it. So we've got our hole right here that we can put our ribbon through, or one of those clasp things would be good. It's perfect, and I love how thick it is. Definitely recommend using the craft foam. I'm sure the heat and bond light helped in some sense. I love this, you know, sweet little swirl, and now it's two-toned. Don't expect that again, but I do really love it. I think it turned out super sweet. And then my second one, dun da da da. How cute is that? So you're just literally gonna pop it out. If there's lots of fuzzies on it, which these don't have too much, but if you look up real close, you can see those fuzzies. You can take, honestly, you can just move some of it off. You can take a little bit of your scissors to the edge if you want, or you can take a little lighter. But how awesome is that bag tag? Wow! I love it. And so this is perfect. It's like coming up for summertime, 4th of July. I just love the contrasting colors with that. So this is the way it's supposed to look on the back without anything else showing. So you can see how it just looks, you know, very professional. You don't see any of that monogramming. It's an in the hoop project, which are just so fun. You can do on any machine. And sometimes you just have to get creative when you mess up your own projects, but that's why we trial things, that's why we sample things, and that's what we're doing here tonight. Thank you guys so much for doing the back to school stitch out boxes with me. This has been so much fun. I hope this is getting your mind just kind of reeling, I don't know, just working towards, you know, listing some items for back to school. Please show me all the items that you've made if you haven't. We've done some really fun projects. I can't wait next week to start Christmas in July. So for those that are doing that with me, I'll see you next week. For those of you who are watching this on replay, we will be doing more stitch out boxes in the future. I haven't really made a plan for what's next, but I've certainly enjoyed doing these, and I hope you have as well. See you guys later.